This is an exciting piece. This is also along the bottom, web presence and e-commerce. This is a piece that's actually coming. The web presence already exists. And so basically what you do in a web presence situation, I'm going to open up a new tab up here so you can see that I'm not logged in, and we're going to just go to Adilas.biz, and I'm going to show you what the web presence is. This is basically a way to see inventory items right this minute. Okay? We're going to go to a company that has some information right here. Say I typed in something like this, Morningstar 02. So if you look at this web address way up here in my bar, you'll actually see that it's not at Adilas.biz. It's actually at AdilasWebServices.biz. And so really quick, in order for me to explain this, what I would basically say is that Adilas operates underneath its own little umbrella. Okay, it's in a secured environment. You have to log in. We track all of the histories, all of this kind of stuff. In order to get this web presence, what we do is we actually do a thing called web servicing, which basically it's like taking a piece and throwing it across the server to another spot where we catch it that's outside of the secured environment. And so basically what this allows us to do is we can now come in here and view inventory. So I'm not logged into this particular site, but I'm able to virtually browse any of the pieces that they have. This one happens to be some trailer inventory. But I mean, you can basically come in and search anything. This is what we call your web presence. And what we do is we basically give it to you so that you're able to kind of get into it. There's a whole bunch of neat things that you can actually do. For instance, say we're looking at this right here. I know this might seem a little technical, but I want to show you. I can actually hide a lot of these different little pieces and such. Let's do the same thing that I just did. I clicked on Open Utility, and here's a bunch of my pieces. If I wanted to, I could actually, and once you learn how to program this, you actually do it so that your people can know what's going on. I'm up in the address bar, and I'm just going to change this to medium display model, just to kind of give you an idea. You can change this web presence to look completely different so that it can actually detail some of your pieces out. You could also even hide some of your navigation. See how it has a logo and some of these different little pieces at the top? Well, what we do is we have a way that we can actually show some of these different little things so that you can actually play with them. I'm just going to change this one right here to hide. And some of you guys might be like, what in the world are you doing here? So this is the exact same page, but I just hid the top and bottom sections of it. And so now if I do a new search, you'll notice it looks completely different. I don't have any logo. I don't have. So what you can do is you can actually take this piece of the web presence that already exists and you can wrap it with your own stuff around the outsides and do a bunch of different things. What I'm going to do right here again, just to kind of show you the difference, is watch this. If I click here and I do the same thing, this is another play site, this ASP0057. So this is an airplane one, but it has completely different things. Like say for instance you wanted to see medium level basic items go. Like you're able to search different things. This shows more of a widget type inventory, and you can actually go into the pieces, kind of see what it has, a bunch of different things. This is automatic. You already get this. There are some settings inside of Adilas. You can turn it on and off, but where we're headed with this is actually to the e-commerce level. So if I jump back to the interactive map and I say web presence and e-commerce, the e-commerce is technically right now one of my current projects, and I would say I'm probably about a third of the way done on that. And so what it does is it takes those exposed pieces and you're then able to virtually sell stuff online. So that's really exciting. That's going to be coming. Tools and maintenance, basically what this does is if I click on it, it allows me to takes me to a portion of the classic home page where I have tons of the different little sub home pages that I can get to. And then also some of the what we call the system basics. But basically inside of Adilas, the reason that is a corner pocket tool is tools and maintenance is a big part of how we actually run the whole system and how you set it up and how you get the different things going on. Okay, we're going to kind of come up just a little bit. We have floor plan right here. And some of you guys don't deal with floor plan. It's very highly specific into like a dealership industry. A floor plan basically is money that's not yours, that is borrowed from a bank, but it's how you actually fund getting your stuff. So say if you're a furniture business, dealership, cars, trucks, SUVs, you go past those places and they have 50 million RVs on the thing. I guarantee you they have a floor plan. They don't have millions and millions and millions of dollars to put all that up there. So what it does is the bank basically owns it, but it's a whole application that allows you to track that floor plan. Who do you owe? Have you made payments on it? Because it ends up basically cycling eventually back up to your balance sheet. That's what the floor plan is. Okay. Elements of time. This is a really fun one. Elements of time, the reason it's kind of here on the bottom is it's basically linked with customers. So I'm going to grab my little pen again just to kind of show you. If we're dealing with elements of time, what ends up happening is elements of time can be connected to customers. They could be connected to users. They could be connected to vendors. They could be connected to invoices, quotes, bunches of different things. They also can be connected to the flex grid, and the flex grid connects to 50 million different things as well. And so one of the things that's kind of interesting as far as like what's going on with time is we're going to actually take you in there and just briefly show you a little bit as far as what's going on. I think you'll enjoy it. What I'm going to do real quick is just clear off these the drawings, and we'll go into elements of time. So by default, when you come into elements of time, you basically have a calendar view. You can actually situate this so that it can do a bunch of different little pieces for you. Elements of time has a ton of options. So what this is called, this is kind of on a technical note, but if you look right here, it says timehome.cfm. Okay, so that's basically the name of the page. If I come down here and I actually say, hey, I'd actually like to see something slightly different than that, why don't you show me the time slot view for the whole month? And then I hit search. Well, technically I'm on the exact same page. It still says time home, but you can see that I'm now at a time slot view breakdown of what's going on a daily basis. If I want to limit it to even less information, I just keep drilling down. I'm still actually on the time home page. I'm just going deeper and deeper into those little ways that I want to see things. From the time home page, you can do a ton of different things. At the top, you have quick little links that will get you to details and time and different things. This is kind of important right here. There's 4 different modes. We have the calendar mode, the time slot mode, the grouped mode, and the details mode. And so basically what it does is it puts detail in different amounts of data. So this particular one right here says 3/7. If I look at calendar mode on 3/7, basically what I have is just the pieces of information, okay? If I looked at the time slot mode for that same date, it breaks it into more of a detailed oriented piece. If I wanted to see the grouped report for that same little piece, there's my little grouped report. And if I wanted to see details, it actually breaks it into the little details. And I realize we're just looking at one little piece right here, but I wanted to show you basically the 4 different views that you can look at. Yes?
How long is it going to save this? I mean, can I go back? If I needed to figure out what I did a year ago, would it still be saved there?
Absolutely, absolutely. So what happens is the time homepage, when you land on it, by default usually shows the current month or week. You can actually set it. There's a bunch of settings you can set to do what it is, but that data exists. And what happens is it just keeps rolling forward. This is very true on most of our home pages. So instead of it being like, oh no, what happened to my data? It's just constantly rolling forward over time, and that data still exists, but it's almost like water under the bridge, okay? If you need to go check it, because it's Adilas, you're able to go back and check it. It still exists. It's playing part of the puzzle, but it's not right in front of your face. So that's kind of what's going on. That's a great question. We're going to just add a quick, simple little piece of elements of time, okay? Time gets really kind of cool. And so what we do is I'm just going to say create a new element of time. By default, most people get one template, okay? And without getting super technical, a template is technically like a cookie cutter, okay? So I have a couple different little pieces in here that I could do. Work order, a mini blog. I'm just going to do a super, super simple one. I want something to hit the calendar, okay? I happen to name it quick notes or a mini blog. If I hit continue, it automatically pulled in my date and timestamp, and I'll just say in class. You know what? I actually hit enter, and sorry, I guess I will now have to edit that. This is about as far as I got. I must have hit enter. My bad. I'll just hit edit main, and we'll just change it up real quick. In class, and so basically as soon as I do that, it automatically gets this magic date, okay? It creates this new little element of time, and it now has a new ID number. Everything inside of Adilas gets an ID number. It's how it ends up getting tracked. If I go back to the Elements of Time homepage, this little teeny piece is now on our calendar right here. In class, start 9:34. If I needed to edit it, I could go right to it. Piece of cake. This is what we call the Working with Time page. This is kind of important. Every single page, the name of the page is right there at the tippy top, okay? In order to edit this thing, I have to just go just a little bit deeper, and I could put in notes, I could change the time. Say we actually started at 9 o'clock. It'd be a piece of cake just to go like this, bloop. And I can just put any sort of notes that I want. Oh, I keep switching. You can tell I'm on a laptop keyboard versus a normal. Okay, this is kind of cool. It'll actually retain your settings. So if you keep entering down, say I had some things that we wanted to cover. And then I wanted to cover some maybe basics on expense receipts or something like that. And then maybe I wanted to cover some basics on inventory. If I hit edit the element of time, it'll basically retain that full piece right here. So here's my little notes that I basically just added. It retained all of those little enter signs and that type of stuff. If I go back to edit this, this might look a little funny, but this is basically what the web has to do. If I hit edit main and I go back, whoa, what are all these little things like this? The break tags. What it does is HTML, which is basically the web language, it has to have certain things so it can remember to do things. And so what happens is as you enter it, we basically then format it so that it can accept that HTML so it can maintain that spacing. So if you see some weird things in there, usually what they are is they're called HTML tags. They always have a beginning tag and an ending tag. It's kind of a greater than and a less than sign, and it encompasses the pieces. I'm going to add a brand new element of time, and we are going to show you just some of the different pieces. Okay, this is one that we did the other day. My sister Shannon was like, hey, I'd like to record my homework in here. So I'm going to hit continue. This one will look slightly different. You'll notice it has more settings than my little mini blog or my quick notes. And you're basically able to turn your settings on however you want them. And so she said that she had some stuff. Shanny, let's do a clinical one. What's kind of one of your assignments that you would have clinical?
I have to attend a clinical round.
A round?
An online class.
Okay, great. And what's the date and time roughly?
Thursday night.
Thursday night.
28th.
So 3/28. If you know the date, you can just type it in. Here's a quick little hint, okay? Anytime you're in Adilas and you need a date, all you have to do is go up to this top right-hand corner, and there's a little calendar icon. What it does is it'll pop it open for you, and you could technically even leave this thing open as this little sub-window anytime you want. So if you weren't sure, you could find Thursday and then go to the 28th. You can modify this to anything you want. If you don't like seeing multiple months at the same time, it's not a problem at all to quickly just drop it into a single month. Or if you wanted to extend it way far, you could be like, hey, I want to see a bunch. Go get it. And it basically, it pulls the whole little calendar so you can kind of, in a quick little glance. If you do have elements of time, you're able to pop right into your own personal one. But that's a quick little thing if you need to find a date. Okay? Just in the top right-hand corner, it's a little calendar application. So what time does this thing happen? 3/28. What time is your round?
5 p.m.
5 p.m. 5 p.m. I'm going to say skip the target date, and we're going to assign it to me for now. How about color? Are we okay with color on there, or do you want to pick a different one?
That's great.
Green. Any other notes you needed to add? These are not required, but they are unlimited as well. We'll just say add the elements of time. So basically, if I click on my monthly calendar right here, just to kind of see where this landed, this quick little one that I just rounded right here, 104 is the ID, clinical round online. It's ready to start doing its little deal. It basically already exists at that point. If I were to search for it, because it has the word round in it. Watch this. This is a little quick search. I'm going to scroll up, and I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to say time, and I'm going to say round. Go get it. Boop. And it grabbed immediately that element of time, and then I could go into it deeper. Okay. So there's tons of ways that you can actually search. One of the ones that I just did just a little bit ago, I remember I put map on it. Okay. So if I took time map, click, it says, hey, you probably want to check this one in class. It doesn't have my notes right here, but if I wanted to see it, it'd be a piece of cake. I could just go turn on the notes, go get that report. Oh, there it is. And you're able to then see your pieces. And so elements of time is huge. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the Elements of Time homepage really quick, and I'm going to talk about a thing called the Master Time Templates, okay? Cheryl, what we're going to do is I'm going to have, what's a way that you use time?
Well, when I'm sewing, I track how much time I spend because I charge by the hour. So I do a time in and then a time out.
Okay, great. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new time template for your sewing stuff, okay?
Okay.
This is how you would do it. Basically, you can see I've created a whole bunch. And this little, just to kind of show you the difference right here, I'm going to start here with the simple one. Very simple. It has maybe 4 fields. I'm just going to hit back so you can see a different one. Here's a customer time clock. This one actually connects clear to like total time and invoicing and assignments and customer assignments. You can see how it gets a little bit more complicated, okay?
So that one would be like when I got the order, what the progress is of it. Is that what that one is?
Correct. And so depending on what you're trying to do will depend on how your template ends up looking. I'm just kind of bouncing between some so that you can kind of see that they do look different as you get into them. This one has all settings, depending on what you wanted to do, okay? So what we're going to do is we are going to basically bounce in and say we're going to add a new time template, okay? And what are we going to call this? Sewing projects? What do you?
Sure.
So you got to kind of think general. This is like, what do I generally want to call this thing? Like, and I'm going to use it again and again. So literally, if you were to read the help file on this thing, and this might help for just a quick second, you are creating a cookie cutter, okay? Once you get the cookie cutter set up, you can use it again and again and again to create the physical elements of time. Does that make sense? But the cookie cutter actually helps you to set it up. So what did you want to call
it? You had a good name for it. I forgot. What was it? Sewing
projects.
Sewing projects. Okay.
Okay. So this next little one here is if you wanted to, you could actually build a list into this. It says, see the notes below. Basically what ends up happening is if you build values like this, value 1, value 2, value 3, and some sort of a list, it actually can create a little drop down for you so that you can actually name it quickly. It's not required at all, okay?
I think she should put it in.
Okay, great,
Like
great.
Dresses, could you do things like that?
Absolutely.
No, really, honest and truly, what you do more is time in, time out.
Okay, that's fine. So let's leave it blank. So basically what it does is if you leave it blank, it'll say later on you're going to be required to basically do that type of a deal. Okay, you have to have a start date. This is when it hits the calendar, okay? This is when it hits the calendar. And then the start time, end time, like you can have a bunch of different things. What you need to do is, are you going to be doing this, are you going to create one element of time and then be like, hit, stop, hit, stop, hit, stop, hit, stop? Or are you going to be like, I did this little section, I did this little section, I did this little, and maybe on completely different dates? Like,
yes.
How would you rather set it up?
Sandy is wondering if you can use this for creating an employee work schedule.
You can, absolutely. There's actually a piece, Elements of Time is, I would say, it's technically round 1 of 3 of what we have planned. You can do it for work schedules, but there's a piece that's still coming that will make that even easier, which is what we call any person, any place, or thing. And what it does is you basically build a pool of like, hey, here's my employees. So if Sandy has John, and whoever else she has that's working, she could basically pull from that pool and almost drag and drop them into this element of time so it creates it. Right now she could do it, but you'd have to kind of like do it manually. As soon as we create the pools, what it does is it allows you to do things in bulk. And so you're able to quickly assign people and places. So that's a great question. So what's going to end up happening for you is you're probably going to you're going to start a project, and then you're going to do 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, okay? So you're probably going to actually be on a sub of time called the action status logs, or the changes, okay? In, out, in, out, in, out. And then at the very end, you're going to say, okay, my total time was this, okay? And so what I would do is I would say, let's go ahead and say, let's do a start time and end time, okay? Target. This is like, when is it due by type thing. Is that important or not important?
Yes,
Okay.
it is important.
And date and time, or just date?
No. Are you talking for my main target time, date, and?
So,
Not necessarily.
here's the important pieces that you need to know, okay? This use main start date, this shows up on the calendar, okay?
Okay.
This time is also, you can see this on the calendar. The end date is when it physically ends, okay? And you can search any of these dates, like basically, when does it start, when does it stop, when does it do this? But the one that actually shows up on the calendar, unless you're watching for the subs, is the start date, okay?
Okay.
And then the other pieces kind of show up here for your stuff. So
But it would be nice to have an end date so that I could look at a calendar and say, wow, I have to get this done by this date.
Perfect, no problem, no problem.
Okay.
We'll just say end date. Is end time important? I imagine not quite so much.
No.
Okay, so the next thing is there's priorities if you want them. Do you want to finish or done? This is more like for a checklist. I wouldn't worry about it because you're actually going to be done on your thing. Are you going to be billing for this? Are you invoicing out this time?
Yes.
Okay, so we would say, yes, I do want to make this billable. I would say as soon as you say it's invoiceable, I would highly recommend that you click these two guys right here. Use the general amount and use the total time. Because what ends up happening is when you build this and you pull it into your shopping cart, it'll say, oh, if I'm taking this, I'll help you, and I'll pull this into the shopping cart so you can see some totals, okay? Okay, the next thing, single user assignment. We will go ahead and just say, okay, cool, no problem. We'll say yes. Customers, we're going to say, yep, we will be assigning this to customers. So that's who your clients are, basically, for your sewing project there. We're not worried about a location. You're worried about this. What is your default color you would like to use?
Green.
Green. Okay, perfect. And you can change that. This is just what's called the default, okay? And time, we're going to use minutes. The option is minutes or clear down to seconds. And then if you wanted to actually sort some things, you could change some of this. You're going to be using a lot of this right here on your particular application, but other people may not be, okay? So what it does is it allows you to get in there and kind of start, stop, start, stop, start, stop, okay? And so that's what the action status log, right here, it kind of tells you what you do. Start, stop, in progress, pending, checking in, you know, like any of those type of things that you needed to assign to them. Okay, so really quick, before I get super far, you can see that what we're doing is we're setting up the main element of time, and elements of time is kind of interesting because it has sub-pieces as well. You literally have to think almost like Legos. Like, what do I want this thing to do? So here's the main thing, and then I'm going to add on some pieces. Here's the 3 pieces that we have done right now. Allow sub-action logs, allow sub-dates and times, which you can basically say, hey, I want this to have sub-things. Instead of using this right here, you're going to be using this. It'll basically be like, unless you wanted to have more flexibility. This is like, it automatically captures the dates and times when things are happening, okay? And you can edit them, but this is a little bit more flexible. So this might be like, hey, I have a class, but we're going to meet at here. This might be a schedule. This might also be a spot where Sandy could technically go in and put like, okay, she creates one element of time for the week, and then she adds these little sub-assignments to it, and then they just go to the one thing, and then they could be like, oh, John's working from here to here, and John's working from here to here, or whatever. So that's another possibility. Allow sub-comments. Basically, it allows people to actually comment and build on to that type of thing.
Okay, so if I wanted to add a comment where I said I came in on this time and out on this time, and I did this, like cutting out the pattern, then that would be where I'd add the comments.
Okay, if you wanted to, you could totally add comments. There's a bunch of different ways, and what it is it's basically like kind of experimenting with the tool and playing like, what does it do, and how does it allow you to do this? One of the cool things that it actually does, and this, I know you're like, oh man, I don't want to read, but here's what you're going to need to do, okay? You click on help, and then basically what it does is you read about the main, and then as you come down here, it tells you what some of the different pieces are. I'm scrolling down, and I know I'm kind of going quickly, but basically once you get down, you'll actually get into the sub pieces, okay? And so the sub pieces have their own element of time. Here's the different subs that you can do. What you may want to do is actually read these small paragraphs. What does the additional dates and times let me do? Okay? What does the additional comments and note let me do? This is huge. I can put HTML into this, okay? So like technically what it does is if elements of time allows you to put whatever you want, like I could almost run a miniature forum using elements of time. Like say I created a new subject and somebody wanted to chime in. Well, if I allowed sub comments, I could automatically track who's putting in their little sub piece to that, and then it basically could run it. You're playing Legos, okay? What's the cookie cutter, and then what are we going to allow to be added onto it? But there's a ton of information in some of these help files, and I know some of you are like, oh, just show me. But what if I told you I don't know all the way? Okay, so I'm just going back just real quick. We were down here talking about like which pieces of this do you want to use. If you want to, you could always come back if you need some more as well, okay? So let's do this. It sounded like you're like, hey, I might need some of this, and I might need some of this. I'm just clicking them on just to kind of show you some of your options, okay? Once again, these little default captions here, if you wanted to, you could preload those with the lists as well. So like if you constantly had certain things you were always doing, you could preload those so that it makes it easier for searching later on. Here's some of the pieces that are not done that are kind of planned for the future. Sign-offs, sub-tracking. This is almost to the GPS coordinate level type thing. And payroll subs, reminders, and this one right here is a big one that Sandy could use when we get it all done. Basically what we want to do with this one is basically any person, place, or thing. And so that's where you actually create the pools, and then you draw from the pools, and you basically say, you got to think of like a brick wall. I'm going to show you a different little, I know that I'm kind of skipping all around right here, but I'm going to show you just a quick little piece, okay? I'm just jumping into Adilas right now for just a microsecond, and I'm going to actually, I have some little pieces here that I have like a little thing. Okay, so if you're talking time, here's how it kind of works, okay? Time is rigid, so you have specific pieces. So what ends up happening is basically, say we're dealing with this little point in time right here. Well, what you can do is you can technically add as many little pieces of time that you want into this little block, okay? So that's what you literally start doing, because time is, it goes as wide as you want. What do I want to stack into that? Oh, I need this and this and this and this. Or maybe time actually starts spanning across things. Like if you think of time this way, it really helps you to kind of know like what's happening. Say you're inside of time and something only goes a certain distance and this goes that way. Like I want you to kind of think of time like little bricks, because then you can kind of see, okay, yeah, I'm just sticking pieces in there. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just clear all that, and I will switch back to where I was at. So I'm going to go to the master back button. And actually, I've got a problem. I just switched corporations. So if I hit my back button, I really wouldn't even be in the corporation that I was. So just kind of commenting here. I'm just going to quickly switch back to use for testing into the playground. And we are in elements of time, and we are setting up, my bad, I hit the wrong one. Elements of time, we are in the master time templates, and we had created one. And I'm sorry, I just lost all of your stuff because I went somewhere else. My bad. I should have opened up a new window. Sewing project. Okay, we're going to leave that. We're going to say we want times, ins and outs. We do want a target. We do want invoicing and quoting. We want these other pieces so that they end up showing up. And we're going to say single user assignment. We're going to possibly assign it to a customer. We're going to select a default color. We're going to come down. We're going to allow for any of these in case you want them, and you may not need them, but we're just going to turn them on. And then we're going to come on down and say add the template. So now at this point we have one called Sewing Projects. So I can add one right from here, but usually what you'll do is you'll be somewhere else, okay? So you'll be here and say you're checking your calendar and something comes in. And here's today's date. You could either click on time or on here to add a new one. So if I click on the main date, it basically says, hey, which one do you want to add? And then I could click it, okay? So basically here's your piece. What's something that we're going to be doing today? Just pretend.
We are making a dress.
And who's this for?
Jane.
Okay, and do we have a specific start time, or we just want it to hit the calendar?
Let's say that we're logging in right now.
Okay. So,
And-
so basically it just would say, it pulled in the time automatically, okay? And if you want to, you can actually set that to something different. Okay, end time we don't know, so we're going to leave it on unknown. Total time we don't know. Total amount we don't know. Invoice status, we don't know that either yet, okay? So I'm going to leave a bunch of this stuff, but eventually we'll circle back around, and eventually it'll end up getting tied to either a quote or an invoice, okay? When is it due?
It is due by Saturday.
Okay.
Which,
Awesome. So once again, if I can't and I don't know the dates, I'm going to just quick pop up, grab this quick little thing right here, say what would Saturday be? Ah, the 30th. I'm just going to minimize this so I have the calendar down below there, and then I come right back down and say the 30th. Oops, 30. Okay, it's assigned to myself, and are we starting, or are we just, what are we doing here? You're going to eventually end up using this a bunch, okay? Boom, 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 boom. This is where you're going to add some subs to it to kind of get some depth.
okay.
Okay? Now, is Jane already in our database, or do we want to just put in what we call a general person, Jane Doe?
Sure.
Okay, so if you wanted to, you could technically have it actually physically hold hands with the customer, or you could just type it in as you wanted to. Jane Doe, okay? Any specific notes we needed for this project? So you can even put measurements in here.
Oh, okay.
34, you know, just like, I don't know all of them, but just for fun. Waist, say she's 22.5, and
Wow.
I don't even know. I'm just, okay, tell me what a real measurement would be. Let's just go waist real quick, roughly.
Okay, 25.
Okay? Okay, and then say
Hips.
shoulders. Yeah,
No,
hips.
hips. 35.
Okay?
And bust. At 35.
Okay.
Very perfect measurements.
Great. So you say add element of time, okay?
Okay.
So you can't add any subs until you have the main created, okay? That's very important to know. So basically, once you create it, it now exists, okay? So it's technically on our calendar at 9:55, and currently right now, nothing has really happened, okay? But if I wanted to make things happen, I could quickly start adding and changing and saying, okay, I'm ready to start this thing. We're going to just for fun, let me just show you that it did hit the calendar, okay? I'm just going to quickly click on monthly calendar, and you'll see that it's right on 3/26. Okay, making a dress for Jane. So it hit your calendar. That's not a problem. I'm just going to hit back so that we're basically back into it. Here's your measurements or whatever you wanted to do for it. Okay, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to start adding some subs in here. And so what I would say is we're going to say started. Okay, boom. So what ends up happening is all of a sudden it's going to start doing some things as far as like, oh, what's going on? When's things happening? Where are they going? And as soon as I go and I decided, oh, I stopped. Like I can do it this easy, and all of a sudden it's going to start tracking like what's actually happening. Is like we're just doing seconds right now. You can see it's like 14 seconds. But if you were to do this and you let it stretch out, it would basically come back and say, hey, that was 3-point-something hours or whatever. If you hit it, it'll basically allow you to start doing this. And then once you do it at the end, you're like, okay, like let's say that we just kind of tweaked it out a ways. Say I edit one of these guys right here, and let's say that the stop time actually wasn't this particular time and say it was more like 11 or something like that. Not that that's even that far away, but just to kind of give you an idea of what it'll do, is all of a sudden it says, hey, this was 1.3 hours. Okay, so it doesn't automatically add it up for you, but basically you would grab a quick little calculator and say it said 1 point this hour and 1 point this hour, 1 point this hour. If you wanted more detail, you're like, oh, I actually wanted it to say I did this and this and this. So that's when you would actually probably need to go to a different tool and basically be like, let's add a sub-date and time. Okay? Does that make sense where I could actually record more information? This action status log, what it does is it basically like, what's happening? I checked in, I checked out, I started, I stopped. It's kind of automated. Okay? If you want it to be more manual, hey, I started this morning at 8. Say you're already halfway into the project. Oh man, I started at 8 this morning. You could totally go like this, okay? You would say add a new sub-date and time, and what were you doing this morning type of deal. It does require something here, so you have to kind of like help it play a little bit. But this is where you could be like, you could even go like this, started. Started, and what time did we start this morning?
8.
8. Okay, perfect. And are we done yet, or we're not sure yet?
No, we're not ready.
Okay, and what's the first thing we're going to be doing? Are we going to be laying out a pattern?
Yes.
Okay, you'd say add this update and time. Okay, so the difference is this was automated. This is called your action status logs and changes. Okay, now all of a sudden I've got something that's starting to kind of like tick here. Okay, it already says, hey, you're already at 2 hours because it's automatically saying I'm not closed yet, but guess what? If I started at 8 and I know that right now I'm at 10, then I automatically I'm starting to track. So this might be more of what you were looking for rather than that automated type deal, okay?
Yeah.
But you just need to kind of know what the tools are. And sometimes even just playing one time right here, like, oh, okay, it's like I need this type of deal. So you could basically let it sit here and then you're done. Watch this. Say we ended up editing this guy. So I'm now editing the sub. So look at this. I'm on main element of time 105. That's my main giant container, okay? That's the thing that hits the calendar. But inside of that, I'm already starting to stack little pieces. I'm building a one-to-many relationship. So we would click Edit here, and we could even do this. If we wanted to detail it out, we could say, oh, use the start time. Click. We could basically, it's like, what's the auto close? We could do it to a specific, or we could even say, I actually did 4 hours on this guy. Does that make sense?
Okay,
Tons of
yeah.
options as far as ending it how you want it to end. Unknown, meaning it's still open. Use exactly right now, date and time, or use a known, or cascade it forward in whatever you wanted to do for it. Okay. And then as soon as I hit edit this, click, it'll basically come back down and say, hey, your total time was 4 hours on that. Okay.